Hi folks, how you doing? The last stage of the Women's Grand Prix series for 2013 and 14 has kicked off in United Arab Emirates in the city of Sharjah, whatever is pronounced. And you know this series is going to be, the winner of this series is going to be the woman to challenge Hu Yifan for the World Championship. She has to defend her title later this year. Well, that's what it's supposed to be like, at least according to FIDE. You never know, but at least this tournament is going on in United Arab Emirates with lots of strong female players out there, and I wanted to analyze some games from here because usually women's chess is sometimes even more interesting than men's because they tend to play more aggressively, fearlessly, and we have sometimes very interesting and exciting games. So from the first round, I chose the game with between Tavshintux Batchimeg. I hope that's pronounced more or less correctly, from Mongolia, and Koneru from India with black pieces, almost a 2600 rated player, very strong, one of the favorites here, apart from Hu Yifan. We had a pretty interesting middle game in this one. Hope you like it. White played 1d4, and after this standard moves e6, white goes for e3, leading to the call and Zukertort systems. This move isn't really that many ambitious in the opening, but relies all the way of the game to the middle game and just doesn't want to prove anything in the opening. Just it's a move to get the pieces going, although you're not going to get anything really serious from the opening. Black plays b6. There are certain ways black can of course reply to this. Koneru goes with a kind of a Queen's Indian scheme. Bishop d3, bishop b7, white castles, still c4. Note that was possible yet, transposing still to the Queen's Indian defense. But now black plays d5, and now c4 isn't that easy to play, although it's of course still possible. But white sticks to the typical call or Zukertort scheme, playing b3. Now the bishop will go probably b2, b2, the knight to d2, and white will have a solid position and will try to think what to do in the middle game now that the opening is about to over. Bishop to d6, bishop to b2, castle. Now white plays knight to e5. This is a typical move, I think, in these positions. Try to play this knight to a centralized square. The other knight will try to come from behind, and slowly white will improve his pieces. Sometimes will go for a kingside attack. And of course black can already counterblast in the center with the c5 move. Knight to d2, knight to c6. And okay, this system may seem innocent, naive, but there is, for instance, a nice game which I like very much from 2004 in which Vaganian from Armenia beats none other than Mickey Adams, strong GM from England, in a very nice style from this position with white pieces. So, I mean, you always have to know what you're doing, and white still has some interesting possibilities from here. White plays f4. Now rook c8, a3, taking b4 under control. Now sometimes b4 could be possible, could be an idea. Knight to b4 is not possible by black right now. And another curious fact is that in my database it says that Koneru had already played this line with black pieces against the strong GM Rajabov in 2008. She lost that game, so it's interesting that she's facing this again, exactly this position like 6 years ago later. Now this knight goes to e7. It isn't going that much of a job here on c6 anymore. Queen to e2, knight e4, bishop takes, pawn takes, and this knight goes to c4, having somehow a reasonable position. I mean, nothing that great, but still some centralized pieces. This bishop isn't a great a great one yet, but whenever this pawn is exchanged, it's going to be brought to life. So still a position here, not that bad. Bishop a6 makes sense here, I guess. Black here pinning the knight against the queen, and in fact the engine starts liking black's position a little. It says it's slightly better, so I think it's a playable position for both. Rook fd1. These pawns are exchanged, and here we're reaching a very important and important point in the game in which we're going to see some concrete tactics which are going to define the course of the game, which will dictate the future of this game. Black plays knight to f5, leaving this pawn on e4 on Prix, but arguing that after rook takes bishop b7, and this rook doesn't have anywhere to go right now. It's kind of trapped. But white has some intermediate moves like this knight takes d6, opening the fourth rank for the rook. And after queen takes, now the rook can go, for instance, to a4, to b4. But here, Tavshinktux, I'm going to have lots of problems saying her name, I'm sorry, plays an interesting move, which rook d1, which it seems is kind of forcing black to sacrifice the queen for two rooks, for both rooks, because otherwise, if for instance queen to c5 or something, rook c4, it's not that a great deal. I mean, black can take here, but the position is going to be very equal, I think, and black cannot dream of winning this position, almost never. So I guess being the higher rated player, Hampi Koneru here tries to go for more concrete and somehow more complicated unbalanced positions, and she sacrifices the queen, taking on d1, queen takes, and she takes on e4, two rooks for the queen. Normally that's kind of enough compensation, materially at least. And here black isn't doing bad at all. She has at least compensation enough to not be in a worse position. Now she plays f6, chasing the strong knight, which is now guarding e3. Rook c to d8, queen e2, and rook to d3. Certainly really look good looking pieces here for black. Centralized, putting pressure and weaknesses like e3, like b3. Not a bad position for black at all. Knight to f2, and rook takes on e3. Queen d2 and h5, denying this knight the way back to g4. Knight takes, rook takes, now king f2. King h7 is what Koneru plays. The engine here is recommending to play this rook d4 as a knight d4, after which these pieces are exchanged, queen somewhere, and black has a very comfortable position. I think these pair of rooks are very strong, very well coordinated, and there wouldn't be much danger of black losing this in almost never. I mean, I think it's white who must be careful here. But king h7 also, well, getting away from there. g3, now rook e3 was played, attacking b3. Queen to d1 is just defending here. King up to g6. And after bishop c1, rook e4, white is ready to repeat moves. She plays bishop b2 back. And once again, kudos to Hampi for going for the victory, trying to keep playing the game, being the higher rated player. She goes e5. Well, eventually if this f file is open, this rook will be already very active, so it's not a bad decision here. But unfortunately for her, after queen c2, she loses control of her pieces, and in fact blunders heavily, playing this knight d6 move, which on the first side may seem natural as you're protecting the rook, but there's a problem that the knight itself is not protected. So queen d3. Now I'm attacking the knight. Now I'm attacking the rook, which is pinned, and that's too. Those pieces are too loose, and this is in fact already a losing position for black. White is winning here. Koneru tried to survive by protecting her knight, but now f takes, f takes, sorry, d takes, f takes, and bishop takes e5, attacking with two pieces with the knight. And remember, the knight is the only defender of the rook, so everything is kind of hanging here, loose pieces. This cannot be good at all. And after king f7, well, bishop takes d6 also gets the job done, but queen d5 check is much cleaner and more precise, as now after the king moves somewhere, the white is going to take a piece and removing the defender of e4, so black has to move this rook if she doesn't want to lose it, and that's one piece up for white with a winning position. So an unfortunate end for the game for Hampi Koneru and Indian fans, but kudos for her for keep playing in a complicated position, for sacrificing the queen and keep searching for the victory, although she had the possibility of repeating moves earlier. So nice game here in the United Arab Emirates in the Sharjah Women